Hey everybody, how you doing today? It is Sunday. It's football Sunday, so hope you will all take time out of your busy football viewing to check out this video. Thank you, and I hope you will give me a like after you're done watching the video. And as always, thank you very much for Marcus and Snow for sharing the video out. Same thing goes for Astro Zombie. Appreciate very much, guys. Um, as you can see right now, I'm working on the second to last panel for this first page for the Printer's Devil for John's Long Box. It's going to be he's campaigning for issue number 2 right now, and this will be in issue like 5 or 6. So we got like a year or two before this will be seen print. So, but got to get working on it now. So, especially when I'm doing it all one dot at a time. No, the video's not over yet. So, but thank you very much for everybody for checking out my videos, and also thank you very much for all of you that like my signed comics as I post them. Had an issue last week or the week before last where they weren't being people weren't seeing them. I don't know what happened. It wasn't until like later, almost to the end of the week, Marcus, uh, he started like liking a whole bunch of them. He said he commented on one. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm not getting notifications. So I don't know why that happened, but so yeah. So please make certain you are checking my feed daily to see those books that I'm posting. So okay. I want this area to be black to help push it into the background. So, but, and we are on week 39 of Signed Comics. We are at days 264 through 270. And these are all like independent books. The first book, of course, is a Marvel book, and it is Starbrand, New Universe. Issue number 18, signed by John Byrne. Yes, I have this one signed by John Byrne. The reason why I wanted this one signed by John Byrne is because it guest starred DP7, my favorite team. So you got my favorite team, and at the time, John Byrne was one of my favorite artists. So of course, I was going to have him sign this one over other regular DC books or even Marvel books. So, and I I'm a big fan of John Byrne, but at the time when I was getting books signed, I was really digging the stuff he was currently doing, not the stuff he'd done in the past. So I also, at the time when I went, I thought I was being greedy by having him sign, I think it was like 5 books. And here, I remember he had a sign up at his table that he would only sign, I think it was like he'd only sign like 25 books was the cutoff. And I remember being a kid going, "Oh wow, that's a lot of books." And uh, it was the show was in Pittsburgh, so of course I was kind of like, I ain't going all the way up. I ain't going all the way home and back. No way I'll be able to get home, pick out the books and sign them. And I didn't even think to buy any off the shelves because the books would have been expensive. So I only have this was one of the ones I picked out. So and I don't regret it at all. I mean, New Universe, DP7, gotta get signed. So. And then after that, that was day 264. So 265, we now go. And when I was greedy. Instead of doing 2 independent books, I did the rest of the week. So I did basically 6 signed uh, books in the S's. And we start off with Serenity, Leaves on the Wind, number 1 of the series, signed by Carl Story and Laura Martin. Carl Story is one of those uh, artists or inkers. He's been very fortunate. He's inked for Star Wars. He's inked for Star Trek, uh, Aliens versus Predator, and of course Serenity. So for me, it was one of those where like that was like a big deal. Like, wow, these are the coolest science fiction properties, and he's worked on all of them. I have at least one from each one of those licensed titles that I mentioned, signed by him. So, of course, I was like, this was one of those. I have almost the entire series of this series signed by him. I think I might actually have the whole thing. But what I really liked about this, and they did a lot of different mini Firefly miniseries, and what I really liked about this particular miniseries is they, even though the show was only on the air for like 13 episodes, uh, they used as many side characters that they developed inside the story, and as many themes from in the story as they could. That was the hardest thing, I think, with doing a uh, uh, Firefly slash Serenity miniseries, was you didn't have enough content or source material to reference to come up with new adventures for the characters. And of course, this took place the uh, after the movie. So of course, the book and Wash were have passed. So you're again then limits more characters you could have used. But I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed this one even much more than when they did the one miniseries that was 3 issues with Adam Hughes doing the covers. That one I don't remember the story much at all. All I remember it really is that it had Adam Hughes covers, and so. But no, the art team was solid. The story was solid. It had like Joss Whedon didn't write it himself per se, but he was involved in the story and the overall. So that it has much more of a almost like his blessing. So it had more a very strong feel to it. So, and I think I've heard rumors going around for quite a while that they're going to do a new Firefly series. I think I've seen. I mean, you know how it is, especially with AI now these days. It's hard to really tell. Is this really a new ongoing series, or is this AI teasing us? We all remember how so many times fans would use uh, computer and overlays of voices and whatnot to tease us and to think that there would be a new Star Wars movie, and here it wasn't. It was just fan made, but they were done so well that even Lucasfilm would have to do releases to say, no, this is not an actual Lucasfilm released property. This is fan made. This is fan fiction. So, but this was I this this series. This was the Leaves on the Wind. The follow up to it was No Power in the Verse. No Power in the Verse, if I remember correctly, that's the one where they really went into River Tan and uh, the where she was rescued from, and how she wasn't the only one to she wasn't the only test subject. So she was having to go up against other test subjects in the series, and where she was meeting up with them. So, but uh, still, overall, and the like I said, the art team was just so good with it. So, but then from there we go to day 266, the Scout Handbook. Now, I got this book before I ever got a single issue of Scout, and I got it because it was like this was a good. I liked I remember at the time we had the DC Who's Who. We had Marvel with our official Marvel handbook. This was one of those books where it's a source book, almost like a for a role playing, and it gave you hints to like vehicles and people in the Scout universe. So I eventually later on got a Scout trade hardbound trade paperback, and it was nice. I think it was like the first 4 issues were done by Tim Truman. Final issue in the trade paperback was done by Kelly Yates, and it was. I mean, knowing that, and at the time I had gotten them, I got the book was after being at the Kubert School, and how like Joe and the other teachers would talk so highly about uh, Tim Truman and Tim Yates and Yates. Isn't it Tim Yates? Oh well, you know who I'm talking about. So it was just so no. So I got it, and it's amazing how when you look at their books, at the books then, at the source book and the hardbound miniseries, how it still heavily embraces their styles today. So, okay, I don't, I'm reaching the point I don't want to work on this stuff here uh, while I'm talking to you guys. I really need to focus on it. So we're going to go down to here. So before I go to here, I need to show you guys how I do something. So give me a minute. Got to clean off the nib. Can't let the ink dry on it. So, okay, needed eraser. Okay, so there's the panel. Okay, we need to work on this. Well, you take a look. You can see that the line work's kind of heavy. Okay, kind of heavy-handed. So we're going to go in with the kneaded eraser. Okay, we're going to go in and we're going to lighten those lines just by taking the kneaded eraser and dabbing it over the pencils. Okay, so by doing this, all the information's there, but it's much fainter. And this way, the ink will lie more on the paper, and you don't have to worry about there being an illusion. Because sometimes when the line works heavy like that, and especially if they're doing shading, you'll stipple it, and you'll think, okay, that's the tone you want. You go to erase it, and it's much lighter. Why? Because all that dark pencil line's showing through. Plus, also, if you lay how ink lays on the graphite versus how the ink lays on the paper is completely different. So you look up here, okay, that's very fine dart work. If that was over a gray tone, and then I erased it, okay, it it looks completely different because you don't have that hard, heavy, faint holding line. So now, even now, you take a look, it's even fainter than before. And it gives the hand now has a completely different look and feel to it. So, but that's how you do it. So, okay, so we go from the source book to Shock Rockets #1 on day 267, signed by uh, Wade von Gromberger. And again, Wade does a great job. I like this series, so I had him sign the whole series, so that way every single issue is signed by him. So I enjoyed it. And this was, again, apocalyptic future. You've got your protectors are guys that race around in a bunch of starships, and somebody who's completely unworthy is becomes one of the pilots, because the pilots, unknown to the public, is when a pilot dies, a new pilot needs to be linked to the ship. And so you have a kid who's like not tested or cleared to be linked to the ship, and the only way he would be able to be uh, he would have to be killed for them to pick a new pilot for the ship. So, and I guess the way they was because like you can't just plug anybody in; it takes a lot of training and whatnot. So I found that to be very interesting. Like, and of course, at the very end, you have the reveal being that like the entire time the shock rocket pilots were fighting this evil. Here they find out in the end that the government that they worked for was actually in charge of the evil. So, which always, because they let, and it was done at the very end to make think, oh, there's going to be a sequel. They never did a sequel to the series. So, and then after that, we go to day 268, Sky Wolf, #1, signed by the colorist Steve Olaf. I had to get this one signed because, okay, I was never a huge fan of Airboy. When I'd see it on I never even picked up Airboy off the shelves because for me it's one of those was like Air Boy. I'm a kid. Okay, kids hate being called boys. Okay, just as I mean, I was like that's what I personally felt that was always the thing that always held back the Legion of superheroes is because even though the characters were all kids, uh, even as they as in the stories they kind of evolved and made them older, they still had kid names. Take a look. I mean, right off the bat, for me, the book was a no because who were the three main characters that founded the team? Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl. It's like no, I want cool characters. I don't want kids. I don't want characters with kid names. And so it wasn't until like actually like the 90s that they started to reinvent these characters with new names. So which I know had to have been uh, had to make Sprouse happy because he was the one doing the pencils at the time when they started renaming all the characters. So I'm sure he's got equity. So they ever do uh, new movies that they'll be or TV shows or cartoons with the new names of the characters, he's gonna make bank. So, but but no, I like this one because it's Sky Wolf. Okay, it was a wolf. Okay, wolves are dangerous. Okay, this is a gritty character, and of course it goes into where he goes over to uh, Vietnam before the United States was involved in the Vietnam War. And he was over there, and here he was with the French Foreign Legion, and here one of the members of the French Foreign Legion was like a cyborg character who was uh, he was a German professor or basically his German Nazi bad guy. So he had to like interact with him, and he was kind of course he was betrayed by him. And of course, the bigger thing was though for me was they're really getting into uh, for me, it was they were really showing the Vietnam War before even I think they did the movie Platoon. So it was like your first like as a kid, it was one of your first introductions to Vietnam, which when I was in school, teachers didn't want to talk about it at all. Uh, Parents never wanted to talk about it at all. It wasn't until later you found out why. It was because like, for instance, my dad was one of those like he had to join I think it was like the Army National Guard or something like that. So he didn't go over to Vietnam. I know other people who and a lot of people who either did go to Vietnam or they were able to dodge it, not by being a draft dodger, but they lucked out. And quite a few who served like the Merchant Marines or they served during the Vietnam era, but not in country. Okay, and so and they didn't really want to talk about it. So for me, this book was important to me because I was finally able to start being introduced to the Vietnam War. So, and of course, Tom Lyle did the artwork. Chuck Dixon did the story. Tom Lyle's not with us, so I won't be able to get him to sign it. Chuck doesn't sign books anymore at shows. He doesn't do shows at all, in fact. And uh, here, so Steve Olaf was like the only character creator on this book that I could get to sign it. So that's the reason why I was like, well, I gotta have him sign it. So, and then from there we go Sliders Special Blood and Splendor #2, done by Rags Morales. And this was one of those books where I've been I've been wanting Rags to sign this one for a while. It was an old discarded Sliders TV script and that never got used. So I guess because of under contract, they got, I guess, Valiant got the rights to do the Sliders comic book after it was canceled because it was probably got them dirt cheap. And Rags was under contract, so we did this one. And I had him sign it, and I said, I don't know what it is about this issue, but I really like it. It's almost like you did it without, with like no shits. Don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. And I mean, he stopped and he like, instead, like some of these guys, like they just sign books. He stopped and he started flipping through it, and I said, I just pointing stuff out to him, and all. And he was like, yeah, he goes, I was under contract, so I did this one. And he goes, but what was cool was they'd already lined up who the artist was going to be for issue number 3. So he let them, he let that artist do, I think like the last like 2-3 pages as a warm up to introduce the audience to the art team for the next book. So, but so no, it was neat, and I just enjoy this book. He did, and here's the thing, he did a really good job with likenesses, and you really take a look at how he did, because each character had to have their own look to them because you had to kind of semi get the likeness right. Uh, he carried it through. If you look at his Our Man series, each character has a distinct look about them that a lot of artists, it takes a while for them to develop that ability. And you can see where this, because of this book, he was really able to start honing his craft to making certain that each character had its own look to them. So, but and then of course we have the last day of the week, which is day 270, Strangers in Paradise #1, signed by Terry Moore. This was the first issue of Strangers in Paradise done under the uh, done for Jim under Jim Lee's new like imprint at Image called Homage Studios, and this was his introduction. And this was actually the longest run of Strangers in Paradise he ever did. And it if Jim was and Jim did like the first like maybe 3, I want to say 4 pages, and then Terry Moore took over. And here the first like 4 pages was like a dream sequence. But it was neat the way he did it, because it was like he got to do the Strangers in Paradise characters, but in Jim Lee's style. It was neat. So, um, but no, this was the longest run. This is the one where followed David, Kachu, and Francine, and of course ending with first David's death, and then latter them the characters dealing with the loss of David. And you really got to see Terry Moore. Uh, you really got a chance to see his artwork style evolve over the course of this series, which was really, really entertaining, and really got to see how artists do get better if you just continue to work. They just automatically get better and better. So, okay, guys, that's the end of this video, and that's starting next week. We'll be doing 271, which is starting the teas. We start the teas, DCTs. So, but you guys have a great day. You know I'm having a great day. Football's on. So remember, everybody, have a great day. And life is stressful. Just take it all one dot at a time.